Hello, I'm Micah Hill, the Interactive Editor-in-Chief for Fertility and Sterility. We are here today interviewing one of the two prize oral papers at ASRM 2019, looking at postpartum outcomes in women with PCOS. I'm joined by one of the authors, Dr. Dokras from the University of Pennsylvania. Tell us about the research. What did you find?
So we did a study looking at postpartum complications in women with PCOS. So as you know, PCOS is sort of the most common endocrine disorder in reproductive age women, and we already know that they're at a higher risk for cardiometabolic complications as well as depression. In pregnancy, we know they're at a higher risk for preeclampsia, gestational diabetes, but there was no information on perinatal depression or postpartum depression or postpartum cardiometabolic complications. So that was the gap in knowledge, and that's what our study sought to sort of ask the question, what's the incidence of postpartum cardiovascular complications in women with PCOS? And so we looked specifically at postpartum preeclampsia, postpartum eclampsia, and hypertensive heart disease, and found an increased risk with an adjusted odds ratio, which was about 1.5 for that group. Then we look at thrombotic complications, so DVT, PE, and that was also in the adjusted odds ratio higher in women with PCOS than controls. And we used a very large data set called Optum, which is an administrative health data set.
Okay.
So we could also look at peripartum cardiomyopathy. So within all that heart disease, we looked at peripartum cardiomyopathy and also identified an increased risk. The only category in which there wasn't an increased risk was stroke and myocardial infarction, and primarily because these women were young. The mean age was only 31.
Right.
So we really weren't expecting to see many cases, and that might have been a little bit of a power issue. But given that we had a total of 42,000 women with PCOS, we could at least ask all these questions.
Right.
So that was the sort of aim one, and aim two was to look at postpartum and perinatal depression. And we found a higher risk for both of those entities as well.
Okay. It's fascinating work. What do you think is the clinical take-home message as we take care of these women?
Yeah, so the take-home message is, unfortunately in the US, the rate of maternal mortality has only gone up in the last 2 decades. Hypertensive heart disease is one of the important reasons for maternal mortality. And so ACOG has really been focusing on the postpartum period. They have now called this the 4th trimester of pregnancy. They have guidelines as to how to screen women. And so I think what our study adds is that women with PCO are at a high risk, and these women should definitely be in that pool that's screened in the postpartum period. So it sort of adds to what ACOG has started and now identified another group that needs to be focused on.
Right. Well, congratulations out of thousands of abstracts submitted to this meeting on winning the top prize, and thank you for sharing your research with us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.